A few years ago, I was lost, struggling with depression, and waking up every day feeling like I was sinking deeper into a dark hole. Life felt heavy, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever find a way out. But let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where you realized that if you didn't take control, things would only get worse? That's where I was, and that moment changed everything. Today, I'm here to tell you my story, how I went from feeling hopeless to rediscovering purpose and joy in my life. It wasn't an easy journey, but if you're going through something similar, I want you to know this. You are not alone, and there is a way forward. Let's go back to where it all started. A few years ago, I was 30 years old and living in the shadow of depression. Every morning felt like a battle just to get out of bed. I'd sit by the window and stare out at the world, feeling disconnected from everything around me. Simple tasks, things like cooking, calling a friend, or even brushing my hair, felt monumental. But the hardest part wasn't the lack of energy or motivation. It was the guilt and shame. I thought, why can't I just snap out of this? Why can't I be like everyone else? It was as if I was stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and sadness that I couldn't escape. One day, though, something clicked. I was scrolling through social media, and I came across a post that said, "It's okay to ask for help." At first, I brushed it off, thinking it didn't apply to me. But later that night, those words kept echoing in my mind. Maybe I didn't have to do this alone. The next morning, I made one of the scariest yet most empowering decisions of my life. I called a therapist. I still remember how nervous I felt during that first session. I wasn't even sure what to say. But my therapist didn't judge me. She listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen and heard. Therapy became a safe space where I could unpack my feelings and start understanding why I was feeling the way I did. It wasn't a quick fix. There were days I left feeling raw and emotional. But over time, those sessions started to feel like a lifeline. At the same time, I realized that I needed to take action outside of therapy too. So, I started experimenting with new activities. I tried journaling, where I'd pour my thoughts onto paper without judgment. I joined a local yoga class, even though I was terrified of being around people again. And I started taking short walks around my neighborhood, just to get out of the house and breathe some fresh air. At first, these small steps felt insignificant, but gradually they began to add up. I noticed that journaling helped me process my emotions, yoga gave me a sense of peace, and walking allowed me to reconnect with the world. These weren't just activities, they were tools for rebuilding my life. The turning point came when I realized that I was no longer just surviving, I was beginning to thrive. I started setting goals for myself, like learning to cook new recipes or reconnecting with old friends. Each accomplishment, no matter how small, felt like a victory. And then, one day, it hit me. I hadn't felt that overwhelming weight of depression in weeks. I still had tough days, of course, but I was no longer defined by them. I had found purpose again. Today, I look back on that time in my life with a mixture of sadness and pride. Sadness for the pain I endured, but pride for the strength it took to overcome it. I'm now living a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, a life I didn't think was possible just a few years ago. I'm sharing my story because I know how isolating depression can feel. If you're in that place right now, I want you to know this. There is hope. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and it's not a straight path, but every step you take, no matter how small, is progress. Remember, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. You are not alone in this journey. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, or if you're going through a similar experience, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's support each other and remind ourselves that no matter how dark things may seem, there's always a way forward. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.